And also to give us more perspective on this, we're being joined by Mr. David Dunn, who's a professor of international politics at the University of Birmingham, and he's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Professor Dunn, this is something that I'm pretty sure the security agencies around the world are looking at very closely. Tomorrow night, people will be out in big numbers to celebrate and ring in the year 2024. But the administration would also be looking at the New Year's parties with some security concerns. What's your take on this?
Well, this has always been a feature of mass events like this. I remember some years ago myself, before 9/11, spending New Year's Eve in Times Square, and there were huge numbers of police because there are huge numbers of people. In France, they expect 1.5 million people to throng the Champs-Elysees, and the centre of Berlin, London are the same. So I think whenever you have that many people, you have to be concerned about all levels of security, from pickpockets to fights, to the prospect of terrorist activities. But of course, in this particular situation, we have had Western intelligence agencies saying for the last 2 or 3 months that there is a heightened threat of Islamic terrorism from ISIS or Al-Qaeda affiliates, or indeed just individuals disgruntled by the West's support for Israel over the war in Gaza.
You know, and also in terms of what's been happening in places such as Germany and in Netherlands, for instance, in Amsterdam, you know, purchasing pyrotechnics is said to be banned, but they can be used during New Year Eve celebrations. What happened last year in Berlin was rioting where fireworks were deliberately used by these miscreants on the police personnel, which resulted in many injuries. Can, realistically speaking, these kind of unfortunate events be prevented during New Year parties?
Well, I think that's partly why they're telling us that there are going to be so many police there. It's partly to give assurances to the public, but also to try and deter those miscreants from trying to arrive armed with fireworks and the like. If they saturate the place with police and they create entry point control, then it reduces the prospects of anyone being able to do anything like what happened in Berlin last year. So it's about actually deterring those activities, preparing for those activities, and being ready to respond to those activities should they occur. So it's a major operation across most large Western cities as a consequence of that threat level.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Dunn, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Always a pleasure.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.